What is your reason for eating? Are you hungry? Is it something else? There are many influences that we are bombarded with daily about diet. The best diet, eat this or eat that. These influences aren't all bad, are they? Welcome to the Wellness Champion Podcast, sponsored by Healthy Transformation Nation. We believe that your health and wellness is determined by your own self-care more than anything else. Join us for each episode when we discover and uncover the keys to self-care in today's complex culture. We enjoy helping others discover the best ways to be well. We'll be visiting the basics for self-care and ongoing wellness that enables you to not only survive, but to thrive. Wellness Champion Podcast. The foods we choose to eat are based on so much more than nutrition. Behind every single food choice, there are many bio-individual factors, including emotions, behaviors, lifestyle, environment, economics, health status, beliefs. It's estimated that we make over 200 food decisions each day. Wow. Some of these decisions stem from beliefs about what we should or shouldn't be eating, and some of these beliefs may be rooted in diet culture, the societal ideal of a certain body size or body shape.
So in talking about diet culture, this is something that I am very familiar with. You're talking about, certain body shape and size. And for me, it was all about how I looked. It was all about how I was perceived and how people saw me. It wasn't about nutrition at all. And I've talked about this in the past. So the body size, the shape, what I was thinking or feeling or experiencing never came out. That was not even something that I connected to. I was very, very disconnected for a long time from my body in the sense of caring about it, in the sense of any emotions tied to food. Well, what would that be? Any of those things. Even the environment that I was living in, I lived in an environment where my mom, she didn't eat a lot of food, actually. She really had very few meals. And so I looked at her, but for me, that didn't seem to make sense because I wanted food and I was hungry. So comparing myself to somebody else is something that I was taught to do as well, like all these comparisons. And so I'm looking at my mom as a guide, and it doesn't work with me because what she's doing doesn't feel comfortable to me. And then, of course, I was looking at things that happen in society with, my other peers. And, well, they didn't have the issues that I was having. They didn't eat the things I was eating. And I was shamed tremendously, actually, in school over my body size and shape because I'm petite in height and my frame is on this more petite side. But yet I was carrying a lot of excess weight on my frame and I was teased because of it. So then we get into the body size and shape again, that it's not good enough. And here I am. And it was just this roller coaster ride of emotions that I was on all the time. But we didn't talk about emotions. We were talking about how I looked, what I was doing, and the fact that I was shamed for how I looked. But no one cared about how I felt. It was all about how I looked. You're this. Why are you doing that? You're fat. And the teasing that went on. So that was something that I dealt with a lot. And the diet culture for me came in a little later in life. It wasn't so much in high school as it was after high school. And I started doing a lot of different diets. Not anything necessarily that I found in society. It was, for me, I just decided to stop doing certain things where I eliminated certain things because of what my logic was thinking at that time, at that age. And now these things that I did weren't necessarily terrible, but the consequences of the way I was thinking and how I was treating my body, that's where the consequences came up, which was much later. So when we're talking about this diet culture, it really speaks very much to me and where I used to be. And I find that with clients today, even the ones that I work with today, there's body shaming that comes into play regardless of the size or the shape. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's these feelings that are around my clients and how they feel about their body. And that, to me, is where we look at what is really important here. It's not the physical so much. It's about what's going on inside.
Well, I think first thing off is, first, what a story. I mean, the torture that you've been through. You're on the other side now,
right,
so congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
I'm really happy for you about that. But what about, do you have to be on a diet to be influenced by the diet culture?
No, I wasn't even on a diet at that time when I was a younger teen. I wasn't at all. It was more about the influences of the people that I was seeing on a daily basis and the words that were being said to me.
Yeah, I mean, the diet culture is embedded deeply in many general cultures and countries too.
Right.
I mean, the global weight loss industry is worth billions of dollars annually, just billions. So yeah, I can understand why it's permeated our lives in ways that we don't even notice it. Like what you were saying, you're bombarded every day via healthcare, fitness centers, the workplace, media, school. Your when you were in high school,
right?
Your peers there, probably even from the school itself, the institution.
Well, it's interesting. You would think that there actually would be support from the school system, but they didn't care what we actually ate because we were free to do whatever we wanted. And as far as purchasing lunches and stuff that were there, but then the lunches, that's a whole different
you went
story.
to a public school, correct?
Yes, I did go to a public
school.
school.
Public schools obviously have budget concerns. And as long as they are meeting the guidelines set forth by their state or federal government, where they have to comply with regulations regarding what they serve you for meals when you buy a meal from them. Other than that, they've pretty much fulfilled their obligation in that.
And I'm not obligated to get that. So my lunch, actually, I didn't choose the lunch that they would offer. I chose Funny Bones. That was my lunch at the time. And again, I was going by how I looked to the feeling. Even though I wasn't feeling per se, underneath the surface of all of it, it was fulfilling a specific need at that time emotionally. And nutrition, wellness had nothing to do with it.
Right. Well, so getting back to, how are people influenced? And it's not necessarily that you're on a diet to be influenced by the diet culture. And another thing is when you hear people say things like, "It was a good day today. I only ate salad."
Yeah.
Or, "Oh boy, I screwed up today. I ate a piece of cake."
Right.
Things like that. They just,
Well, it's kind of like, I did this, so I get that. I did this, I don't get that. Yeah. And so it's what we really have been taught is about a reward system here. So we're using food as a reward system.
Yeah.
And that definitely, I know for myself, came from growing up.
Yeah. Well, what about the people who are saying they're eating clean?
What does that mean?
Yeah, my diet is really clean. I don't eat any sugar.
Okay. But even in that, right? You're still being told that sugar's bad. Don't do it. I eat clean. I don't eat sugar. But what is clean for your body? So for me, personally, sugar, grains, and dairy don't work in my body. But if someone else,
yeah, I agree. And for example, let's use the two of us as an example.
Yes.
So for you, that's true. For me, I do tolerate a small amount of natural sugars such as maple syrup, honey, things like that,
Right.
in moderate amounts. that I'm okay with. I don't experience any sort of bodily inflammation or anything like that. That
Right.
can sometimes come from that.
Correct.
And so, yeah, so I mean, for me to sit here and say, my diet is really clean, I don't eat any sugar. Well, I mean, that's not entirely true for me because I do eat some.
Mm-hmm.
I eat sugar that occurs naturally in fruits and
As do
berries,
I.
things like that. But I don't eat any processed sugar, refined sugar, or added sugars.
Right. So that's a beautiful way of differentiating between
Yeah.
the two.
And I'm an
It's really-
individual.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what works for me. And as far as the grains go, sometimes I have a little popcorn, which is made from corn, which is a grain, and I eat sprouted grains. And sometimes those contain malted barley, which is so, and that might affect someone else differently than it affects me.
Absolutely.
But it's okay for me,
right.
and I'm not saying that anyone else should eat like I do.
No. That's the beautiful part about being your own individual person and not being clumped with everybody else, is that you stand out. You matter, and your choices matter for you. It doesn't mean that it has to be what everybody else is doing.
Correct.
And I love that. And my one of my favorite ones, if I just stick to the shakes at mealtime, I can reach my goal weight. I can't tell you how many shakes I've done in my life. I've done so many different types of shakes over the years, and I don't do any now. But I used to feel that way. I'd be like, I'd have a couple of shakes during the day, and then I'd be like, I'd have a moderate dinner, and then, oh yeah, I'm just going to drop the weight. And in reality, it wasn't anything that was lasting. It may have been temporary. And again, then you're moving into the yo-yo dieting where you're up, you're down, you're up. And I did that for years and years and years. And a lot of our clients that we work with have done the same thing. Yo-yo dieting was just such a huge component of their, has been a huge component of their life. And to actually be able to go into thinking about your way of life in eating as opposed to that, it's a game changer.
Another signal of the diet culture is the cheat days. Now, I never really understood the cheat days.
Okay.
Why would I cheat on myself? And how could I cheat on myself when I know that it's just not, it doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, what's your feeling on the cheat days?
The cheat days. So I love the topic of the cheat days because when we think of cheating, it's very serious. In a relationship, on an exam in school, or on an exam, if you're taking tests as an adult, all of that stuff. But when we talk about cheating and it comes to food, it's kind of, I cheated, or I have a cheat day, and it's okay. And I find that shocking to me.
Well, yeah.
Because to me, cheat days is a compromise of your own personal being.
And a lot of these diet cultures have made cheat days like a reward system.
Correct.
And what's that all about? Cheating by definition is harmful. It's not. So
right.
Why would you do something harmful to reward you? It just doesn't make sense to me. I just never could wrap my head around the cheat days thing.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the reward system that we're taught as a child. Like when we were children, we were taught that there's a reward system. You do this, you get that. And food was used. For a lot of us, food was really used a lot. You get a little cookie if you do this. If you eat your dinner, you get that. And even in eating dinner, there's a pressure to eat your dinner so you can get the sweet. It's really ingrained to such a level from even childhood that we have this culture in ourselves. But that comes from our parents, and our parents were bombarded with it as well. So it's this constant perpetuating issue that's happening in people's lives, and that's what we're here to do, is to bring it to the forefront in a way of making a change in this life, this industry. I
mean, we know that there are harmful effects of the diet culture.
Absolutely.
The messaging that comes from the diet culture can lead to regimens that, well, what are some of the things that you participated in when you were in it? Probably calorie counting, right?
Yeah, there was calorie counting,
weighing your food,
weighing with the grams and all of that stuff.
Being
100%.
Obsessed with the scale, right?
Oh, I was a big obsessor with the scale. I was on it every day. sometimes twice a day,
Yeah.
just to see, oh, was there any shift?
Right. And then there's elimination diets, right? Where you're taking things out, and
Yep.
denying yourself.
Deprivation.
Right. You're living in lack at that point.
Absolutely.
And how does that make you feel at that point? It's
Yeah, I mean, when I would do those types of things, it was under someone else telling me to do it.
yeah.
And there is a difference, because I have eliminated things on my own because my body didn't want it anymore. Not because someone told me that. I made decisions to remove certain things from my lifestyle because they weren't accommodating my body.
So
any
in a
longer.
healthy way,
Right.
you've made those decisions by listening
Right.
to your body,
Right.
and understanding its messaging,
100%.
as opposed to listening to the diet culture messaging.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look at just sugar in and of itself, where I would have sugar and I would have a lot of pain, I would experience a tremendous amount of pain, but I don't feel that any longer because I don't have sugar
Right.
in my diet any longer.
Yeah.
So the difference is, okay, do I want to have the sugar, be in pain consistently every day, sometimes wake up in pain, or do I just want to release this and not have pain and enjoy my life? So to me, it really became my quality of life. That
Yeah.
was the big factor for me, is what is my quality of life? And I found before, and with my clients, compromising for the sake of the taste, the experience, is a huge thing. The compromising, and pain can come from that. And that was really a shocker to me. I woke up and I thought, why am I doing this to myself? I'm doing this to myself.
Yeah, and that strikes at the trust issue that you have with yourself and your body.
Yes.
And where you're doing things that are not resonating with your body, and the messaging that comes from the diet culture and from dieting primarily focuses on your physical health.
Correct.
And your body size, your weight.
Right.
And it often ignores your emotional and spiritual relationship between yourself and your body and your food
Right.
choices. And so what you're just talking about is how you were, in a transformational way, you have gone to trusting yourself and the messages that you get from your body, and honoring your
Yes.
body.
Yep. Because I have done other types of programs where things were removed, but I could put it back in if I wanted to. And I made the decision I didn't want to. And that's what I like about the choice, because I have choice. Do I want it or don't I want it? Do I want to remove it permanently or not? And having choice is so empowering. It just empowered me that I'm like, yeah, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? I'm okay with this. And even since that time, I've changed even since then, because my body is changing. And that's the thing that people forget, is that your body changes all of the time. It's constantly going to change. So what may work for you one year could be different another year. That's why having a relationship with your body, being aware of what your body is saying and how it is feeling, is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you are listening to the messaging that comes from the diet culture, what we were just talking about, the eating regimens and the calorie counting and the weighing of the food, these create patterns.
Yes.
And these patterns can become chronic. And they just that's how people become yo-yo dieters. And you know this because
I did it.
Yeah.
Yes. And also it can become addictive, doing these types of programs over and over again, and looking for like a better result this time, because you didn't get it the first time. And there's so much pressure that we're putting on ourselves to be like the person that is teaching the program or teaching the course. And that is not what it's about. It's about discovering who you are.
Yeah. And we know
and what you look like in your mind, and how you want to actually carve your body out to be. Like, you have the power to do that. You have full license to do that for yourself, to actually take the time to get to know your body and envision what you want it to be. If it's exactly what you have right now, then congratulations in being comfortable in your own skin. And if it isn't, then there are different things that you can do to start connecting and embracing who you are, because we are all individual, all bio-individual here.
Yeah. Yeah. And those patterns that we're talking about they can cause physical and emotional harm.
Mm-hmm.
And they do. And we know this. We've seen this.
Yes.
We've witnessed this.
We have.
And so finding freedom from the diet culture.
Yeah.
We've found that the best way is by approaching it from a bio-individual
perspective.
Yeah,
100%.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the potential harms of the diet culture and that mentality, it's all left behind you when you look at it from your own perspective. When we're reminded that no one is like you.
That's right. Right. The way that someone else looks, or like you and I, we do not look the same. Body-wise, height-wise, obviously we're different genders, but take that out of the equation and just look at our body types. You're taller than I am, and your composition is different than I am. I hold more fat on my body. It's just the way my body is. It likes to hold on to fat, and that is fine. It's fine the way it is, because the way that I'm built is that it wants to be on my body because it protects it from different things here and there. Mm-hmm. Now, I can make the decision to say, well, do I like the amount that I have on my body? Because everybody has a body fat percentage and all that stuff. Do I like the way I look? Do I feel comfortable the way I look? And that's the vanity part that we talked about in the part. It's not so much about all the look stuff. It's about, how do I feel?
Yeah.
How do I feel inside?
Yeah.
Do I feel fulfilled? Do I feel complete? Do I feel whole? Do I love myself? Do I accept myself for where I'm at? These are the kinds of questions we should be asking. And it's not like, well, we're obviously going to be physically different, look different from another person. We can see that with hair color, eye color, skin color, height, weight, all of that. That's all fine and good. But what you're doing is different than what I'm doing. How you're going to be presenting your body is going to be different the way that my body presents.
We each have a different background, different history, different genetic
ancestors,
makeup.
Everything.
Yeah,
so
all that
why
stuff.
is it that diet culture says, oh, we're doing it all the same?
And we also have different attitudes, different desires, different goals,
right.
different different emotional
Absolutely.
needs, so all of that
yes.
works in with what we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
The bio-individuality is the approach that will free you from the diet culture. And because the diet culture ignores that bio-individuality.
Right.
And because that way they're working toward, a specific body type. Mm-hmm. Everyone is looking at the media and seeing a specific body type. Mm-hmm. And that's the body type that the diet culture is aiming for. Right. And so, for many of us individuals, that body type is unattainable. Right. It's not realistic.
Exactly.
It's just not going to happen. It's just simply not going to happen.
Nope. But that took me a long time to get over that. Because it was just drilled in my head over and over and over again. It was very tough because I thought I could achieve that, but my body is not the same. So how it's going to look in my body is going to look different. I could be doing the same exercises, but it's going to show up differently in my body than someone else.
And another thing too that the diet culture does is sort of lumps together a certain body shape or body size with health, with being well.
I agree.
And people who are well, healthy individuals come in a variety of shapes and sizes. And your body size, your body type, your body, in general does not indicate whether or not you're healthy.
That is correct.
And so that's a big they play upon that in terms of the desire to be healthy. Everyone desires to be healthy, right? So that's one area that we are susceptible to for the messaging that they're giving us.
Like, this is one young man who's 27 years old. To look at him, he looks like the epitome of fitness. I mean, he's got all of the abs going, the arms going, even the legs, like really like almost like Adonis type.
Yeah.
But then there's issues with the gallbladder because of the type of diet that the individual has. And that is serious, having gallbladder issues at 27 years of age when you look like the picture of fitness, but yet inside your body is telling a different story. And that's the difference between the diet culture and bio-individuality. 100%. It's about what's going on inside that is happening for you.
Yeah.
What's happening.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And what applies to one person doesn't necessarily apply to another.
You got it.
Yep, absolutely. So the key we know is to move forward with compassion. It can be challenging to free yourself from the diet culture. The messages are all around you, and it takes time to reframe any unhelpful beliefs that you may hold around food or body size. But remember to show yourself compassion and kindness. Never forget that you're so much more than your appearance. The Wellness Champion experience focuses on the basics for a wellness lifestyle, the basics that all of us need to get started. And then from there, you explore your bio-individuality, as we were just talking about. We invite you to join us on htnforyou.com. That's where you'll find conversation, connection, and community around all things wellness for your wellness journey.